I would like for you to speak about roughly the same thing, but perhaps comment on the importance of design and urban design and water management design in building cities' resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, Usha. Well, I have about 30 years of experience in water, energy, and solid waste, working at the city level. And for me, resilience is really about capacity to absorb things that we can plan and are not planned for, like population, urbanization, resource shortages, and economic impacts. And it's about flexibility. It's about flexibility to respond and adapt. So if we could kind of summarize those two, to me they mean doing more with less at the urban level, and to create designs that allow for flexibility to do that in the long run, because our foresight isn't as good as we wish it was. I mean, and on the flexible design side, for example, Rotterdam, as we just mentioned, is a really sterling example. We can think about this at the city level only, and that means, for example, in my area, utility systems. We can think about it at the building use level, which is going to be the next speaker, and we can think about it at the industry level. But I would plead that we think about this problem in the context, the city in the context of the larger picture, which is agriculture, energy, and the environment. Most of the gains to trade are going to come from that. I think you've asked about legal institutional planning barriers. I think the biggest barrier is the lack of integration, and it's a thinking problem more than anything. We have subdivided the world to make it simpler. That subdivision maybe made it simpler in some ways, but it's our biggest enemy in terms of thinking about how to overcome things, because integrated solutions provide the capacity we're talking about and provide the flexibility. So I'd like to talk about, at my time in IWA, we've been working on building a program called Cities of the Future. And that is really to think about how would we build a city if we started from scratch, as opposed to the city we inherited, which is, on the water side, is extremely inefficient, and where there's no connection between urban planning, the water system, the solid waste systems, and the like. We have a water and energy program, and I want to talk specifically about an example, and then working on the water-food nexus, because that's going to be, in my opinion, the biggest issue coming up. Now, on the issue let's just take one example of where I think we do some really interesting things. You know that most cities in the developed countries have sewerage and wastewater treatment plants. A remarkably few number of those actually generate energy, even to cover their own electricity use, let alone to produce energy. You might ask why that's possible. Because of lack of integration and lack of care, really. So if I told you that if you could combine the food waste from a solid waste system in the city with the wastewater treatment plant and its digester in the city, probably down the street from each other, virtually 80% of the wastewater treatment plants in the world could be energy neutral, if not energy positive. A very simple idea, right? Get food waste, which is now largely goes to landfills or put in incinerators with no resource recovery to speak of, and put that in a solid waste plant. Why doesn't that happen? In many communities, amazingly enough, it's illegal. It's illegal not for a rational reason, it's just illegal because of tradition. So what could we do worldwide? We could actually we're trying to launch a program for Europe, US, and China, where we basically try to make every wastewater treatment plant at least energy neutral. It reduces the carbon footprint of utilities by 70 to 80%, which is not small to begin with. What other things would happen? We get transportation and noise pollution reduced. We create an alternative fuel sources. If you look at in Sweden, for example, we're looking at plants that are producing 130 to 150% of their own energy. They're creating transportation systems, fueling transportation systems, heating and other uses. And big picture, most importantly, we're increasing resilience, right? We're all the way around, and we're also, in a financial sense, increasing resilience to energy price shocks, which I think will be another feature of cities as a whole. So I hope that was a reasonable example of the real world